Now we review Brave the Dark, a 2025 film. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I have seen Brave the Dark, which is a film based on a true story. Not inspired by, apparently, based on. You have a young man gets into some trouble, and his teacher, who is a saint, a man of saintly nature, finds out that he's been living in his car, he's been starving, and he has been, just suffering horribly. So the man comes out there and invites him into his home. He's got an extra space. Used to live with his mother, took care of his mother. Mother passed away. The teacher has an extra space. And then this teacher, because he's in a small town, he knows everybody. He's pretty much been in a class with he's had a class with everyone. He was a very much beloved teacher. And he uses that as a soft currency to manipulate the system and get this young man taken care of, all right? And because this is based on a true story, there's a lot of problems, The friction between these two characters is very palpable at times. There are points where you think this guy is going to give up, and this is a person who did not lead a good life. He had a major tragedy early on in life. We find out that this tragedy is a lot darker. He blames himself. This young man who, it's like he said, I was on the track team because that gave me an opportunity to shower. I was living in my car. You gave me this chocolate bar. That was the first thing I ate in 3 days. He was this very troubled, put upon man. And it does beg the question, how was he in high school? But he's not the man that makes the best decisions to begin with. So maybe he couldn't get a job. Or maybe he didn't think he should get a job. Or maybe he was functioning as a criminal in some capacity, and that's just not something that was kept in the story because we want this to be an enlightening and happy story as opposed to a sad and upsetting story. But, one of the things that is said, I don't know exactly where, but I read somewhere that there is a passage in the Bible that says when someone repents, their spirit is renewed, but their soul remains tainted. And yeah, this is he still has those bad person friends who do stupid things. And, there are going to be problems. It's a good thing that this kind of happened in the 80s. This is a period piece. It's an 80s period piece. And to be honest with you, this looks like the 80s to me. It feels like the 80s to me. There's a lot of American steel on display here in the muscle cars. And, the lingo is not extremely zap for the 80s, but it is a very 80s movie. And, it's what's going on in this film that these characters are very 80s. So that's what you're seeing. And, as a human being, this young man makes mistakes, as we all do. And they're mistakes that very much harm the person that is trying to help him, and it happens. It's one of those statements that the teacher makes during this film is pearls before swine, and he goes, what does that mean? Well, it means what's the point? It means, if you put a pearl before a pig, a swine, and mind you that swine is the Germanic, as opposed to, say, pork, which is the romantic. When something is a thing of labor, it is swine, and when something is a thing of delight, like pork, it is, pork. That's how it was. The meat is of delight, and the animal is of labor. So, pearls before swine, if you put a pearl before a pig, the pig cannot appreciate the pearl. It may try to eat the pearl. It may destroy the pearl in some way. It may knock the pearl into its excrement. But as a pig, it cannot appreciate the pearl. So the statement, pearls before swine, means, it's like I've done so hard, I've worked so hard to make your life better. I've been so generous to you, and all I want you to do is be a better person, to live your life, to have the chance other people have. Okay? I just want to take you and put you on a level playing field and give you all the opportunities a normal person has, and you repay me with something that hurts me. It's a very poignant moment, and it speaks to the darkness, but I mean, this is how people are. We're not perfect. There will be problems, there will be strife, and we as human beings need to accept that, and we need to be able to move past it. It's much like, I did a live stream last night, and people were bringing up things that I said in the live stream because I have health issues, And look, health issues are disgusting. I'm not going to lie to you. I have some health issues that if you had to deal with them yourself, you would be disgusted. That's my life. It's unpleasant. We all have those things. It's I worked at a hotel, and one of the things that we said as people who work at the hotel is people don't want you to go and plunge their toilet. They want to plunge their toilet because they don't want you to see their mess. And that's very true. So this is it's very raw and unapologetic about the mess that you see and the pain and the suffering. And I mean, this kid being a child of the, growing up in the 80s, his parents passed in the 70s. So there is a bit of that. I mean, you have no idea how much the world changed in that time period. It's like the 40s was when television took off. Or no, the 50s was when television took off. The 40s was the time of radio and popularity. The 60s, the height of the Cold War. And then the 70s was kind of an age of enlightenment where people tried to throw off the heavy and painful concepts of the 60s. The 50s, I don't remember much about them, but, there you have it. But the 80s was a boom in technology. And part of that was even fueled by the war. But we as a people saw the American home used to be, there was your TV, there was your radio. Your TV was made of wood. Your radio was made of wood. And in the 80s, the wood grain became plastic, and suddenly you had more things. You had the VCR, you had CDs, you had cassettes, in addition to your record player. The birth of new media became a thing, and the world changed around it. So, yeah, this is a very compelling movie. I would say it's not a must-watch, okay? If you're not into this kind of movie, you're probably not going to want to watch this movie. But it is the very highest point of your watch list. This is the kind of movie that illustrates human nature, and it's important and relevant for us all to watch. We should all watch this movie, so it is definitely a should-watch, high on your watch list, although I will make the statement you're probably only going to want to watch this movie once, because it is emotionally rending. I cried when I saw this movie. I legitimately cried when I saw this movie. Okay? And mind you, okay, I am a man who says okay too much. I'm a man who can deal with somebody with their guts on the wrong side of their skin. Alright? I am perfectly fine with that situation. I know what to do. I know who to call. I know how to keep people alive. I'm not a trained medical professional. I'm a security officer. Mostly I've dealt with overdoses, but I've been in situations where you deal with this now where that person dies, and people say, how can you be so calm? Because I'm hard as nails. And I cried during this movie. So just keep that in mind. This is a very sad film. It is a very emotional film. And I will never understand it, but we as human beings love to feel those emotions. Anyway, so that's my take on this film. I'd love to hear yours down in the comments below. I, of course, am Richard.
Greetings, humanity. I'm Randall the Rat, and I'm here to remind you that, well, you should probably comment, like, and subscribe now. And why? Well, the world isn't all that great, and Random Street Theater here is trying to change it. We do things like have trash removed from the ocean, pay for trees to be planted, and even feed orphans. And you can help. You can comment, like, and subscribe. And it's free. When you think about it, if you don't do those things, well, what are you saying? Are you saying you don't care about the ocean and trees and even orphans? Well, sounds like you're a bad human. And you have a delicious face.